guys, it's May. Welcome to the May Studio vlog. I had my interview at Color Me Mine today. It seemed like it was a really positive work environment and the manager was really nice, so I'm really hoping I get that job. She said she'll let me know by the end of the week. So I've really been leaning into eating healthier and taking better care of my body. And I know everybody says like, oh, work out, but it's true. I think if you want to make art, you have to take care of yourself first, and that also includes eating well, sleeping properly, working out, stuff like that. I started my Drawing Foundations 1 course again last night. I started week 7, and week 7 and 8 is about the still life. So week 7 is about choosing your objects and then doing some thumbnails, and then week 8 is about actually rendering out your still life. And I know it's a project that's going to take me a couple days, and so I'm feeling a little bit bogged down, but it got me thinking that I do actually really want to try working on my stamina, being able to leave a piece and come back to it the next day and get back into flow. I think what'll help is taking notes. So taking notes of where I last left off, what is there left to do, what are some steps that I can take next, and I think also splitting it up into smaller goals instead of trying to get as much done as I can in one day, splitting it up into doing a certain section or just a certain item in the piece, depending on what it is, or like a certain color. Something like that I think will help more than trying to knock out something in a few hours. I think something else that will probably help is having multiple projects going on at the same time, and this could also be contradictory. So I think if I have multiple projects, if my head is in a different place than the one I was working on, I have options, and maybe I'm feeling a little bit more drawn to working on this piece versus this one. But also if I have multiple pieces, I wonder if I'll get overwhelmed and I won't want to work on any of them because I'm like, oh, there's so much to do, like I have to do all of these, that kind of a thing. But that's what experimenting is about, and I think I want to try to experiment a little bit more this month. So yeah, I'm also hoping to work a little bit more on my studio and getting some wall decorations put up behind me right here. I do have a little bit, but I want to fill it up even more. So I had to turn the light on because the sun is setting, but I started doing these watercolor mood cards that I was talking about in the last vlog. If you haven't seen it, go watch the April vlog. I talk a lot more about the sketchbook menu and these mood cards. I'll also put a link to the video where I got this idea from right here in case you wanted to go watch that too. Basically, you just kind of do a little painting every day based on your mood, based on what colors you're drawn to, things like that. I also wanted to put the new Masters Academy course track up, and it looks really funny, but basically these are all of the courses that they offer, and it's not like Skillshare where you can mix and match and you can jump between classes. They have like a set track for you to follow. So you start with this one. This is going to be Drawing Foundations, and then you kind of go down the line and it introduces new concepts, and you also revisit the old ones. And for context, I'm right here at the beginning on Drawing Foundations 1, and this is the entire Drawing Foundations module, so I have so many classes to go. So the reason I pinned this above my desk was because I feel like I was getting a little bit of tunnel vision when I was working on the courses. Looking at the track kind of helped me realize that I have so much more to go, that I don't need to get stuck on one single course or one single assignment, and it kind of pushes me to want to just do the assignment and move on, because I'm like, oh, I have so much to do. Like, I don't have time to be sitting around doing this one assignment, you know? So maybe for some people it feels really overwhelming and they're like, oh, I have so much to go, like there's too much to do. But for me, I'm like, okay, I just want to get it done. Like, anyway, let's see where the month takes us. Hi guys, I just had my first day at my new job at, what's it called? Color Me Mine. And I love it so far. And I feel like I already feel so inspired to make more art. If you didn't watch my last vlog, I got a new job at a chain called Color Me Mine, and it's a pottery painting studio where essentially people can come in and paint a piece and then they will glaze it and fire it for you, and then you can take it home a week later. So I got to do a little bit of everything today. Everyone was super nice and I just had fun. It was like fun being surrounded by everything. I got to unload the kiln, I got to glaze a little bit. We also had to use the Dremel to kind of smooth out some of the bottoms from firing. And I noticed when I was there, I just kind of wanted to paint. Like I was looking at all of the blank pieces and I was like, oh, what would I do with that? Like I would probably paint this or that. And I think seeing everybody's painted pieces that we were firing, especially those from like kids and people just painting simple stuff, it kind of made me feel like, oh, like I would love to paint something like that. And then I'm like, why do I have to paint it on a ceramic piece? Why can't I just pull out my acrylic paints and paint something cute and dainty and like simple? And why can't I do that? Like I was looking at some of them and I was like, oh, like I would love to make a matcha bowl and put like cherry blossoms and like matcha rolls and like ice cream and stuff like on it. I saw this plate with like koi fish on it and I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. Like I would totally do that. I was like, why can't I just paint that at home? Not even on anything. I could just paint it on paper and it doesn't have to be something super complex, which led me to think about my beliefs again. And it's like when I think about making a painting and when I think about painting on a canvas, I feel like it has to be something so complicated and detailed, and it really doesn't. Like you can just paint for fun, you can paint anything, you can paint something simple. And so I'm really excited to see how this is going to encourage me to just kind of play around with my paints and have fun. And we also get a pretty good studio discount. We get a free studio fee, which covers the painting, the glaze, and then the firing. You purchase your pieces separately, and those are usually between $20 and like $40. But we get anywhere between 25 to 40% off of those. So it's not like dirt cheap, but I think it's worth it. And I've already been thinking about how many things I can make to put in my house. I was like, oh, like my pencil box, do I need a new pencil case? No, but I could paint like a mug or one of the cups that they have and put my drawing pencils in there, and I can make it cute, or I can make it kind of match my like interior design aesthetic. They had a matcha bowl there, but it was really small, so I don't know if it's really usable, but it was cute, and just a bunch of other stuff, and it felt really good to be there. It was like I got home and I mean, obviously I was exhausted because I was learning so much new information for the first day, of course, but now I'm kind of like, oh, I want to go back. Like I just want to look at the blank pieces and I want to paint something and I want to, look at everybody's art, and I don't know, that's like a good feeling to have. So yeah, overall, it's been really good. I'm really excited to see how this is going to affect my art practice. And honestly, I might just paint something today, even if it's like one of these little paintings. Can you spy the imposter? This one is actually pastel, and I don't know why I was feeling not even necessarily like a beach, but I was feeling these colors like this tan and this blue, and I was like, why not make like a little beach thing with my oil pastels. This is the box that I made to put all of my watercolor mood card stuff in, because in the video that I was mentioning, she had basically like a tray that was set up with all the supplies. So I have like pre-cut mood cards, I have my watercolor palette, I have this little cup that I use for water, and then a towel down there. This cup is so cute. I actually got this from Ancora, which I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a shop in Tokyo where you can build your own fountain pen, and they gave this cup for free. So I thought this was the perfect size because it's like pretty small, but it's still big enough for you to be able to like swish your brush around in there. And right now this I'm just kind of keeping right here. So it's pretty easy to reach, but it's not in the way. And then when I was cutting those, I was like, why only have watercolors? Like why not have pastel paper and have acrylic paper? And obviously acrylics are a bit harder to just pick up and use. Like you have to set up a lot more, you have to clean your brushes more thoroughly. There's just more cleanup, but I thought it would be nice anyway just to have options. So if I'm feeling a little more like doing acrylic or some opaque painting, then I can do that. I think oil pastels are pretty easy to just pick up and kind of scribble and like color around, so I liked that. But yeah, I'm trying to do like a daily practice, so this has been really fun for just kind of getting some color. And it also kind of serves as like a self check-in because obviously it's like a mood card. So even if I don't necessarily know how my emotions correlate to art or colors, it's kind of interesting to think about how I feel and how to translate that onto the paper. But that's my update for now. I guess we'll see if I paint something. Hi guys, I honestly haven't really been vlogging that much this month and I haven't really felt compelled to. I've like thought about it at times and I'm like, oh, I should be filming this, and then I feel like I'm not really presentable enough, or I have to kind of fix things to look the way that I want it to on camera. And I'm partially working through that. I think it's just kind of like a little phase I'm going through right now because I didn't really feel that way too strongly before. But also, I think there is a point to where it's like, it's okay to not film some stuff. I'm getting a lamp from my mom, which I'm going to be able to use to do the still lifes and light them up, because I feel like the ring light kind of makes it hard to light things properly rather than like a spotlight. I feel like it's kind of weird with the shadows, and they don't really recommend using like a ring light. So I'm kind of waiting on that. I have been really good about doing a little bit of art every day. I've been either sketching or doing the mood paintings. I am also working on a koi painting. I don't know if I talked about that already. It's kind of hard because I like vlog stuff throughout the month and I forgot what I talked about. So maybe it would be helpful if I like reviewed the footage. But anyways, I've been working on the koi painting, and I think the biggest takeaway that I've had this month is that when you're working on something, it really boils down to like what your purpose is. And I think I feel really pressured to make the best art to my ability every time. But my purpose with this painting was not to have it look good or be the best of my ability. It was just to stop overthinking and just paint something, because I was feeling so inspired by the paintings at work at like the pottery painting place. So the idea was just to have an idea and put it onto the thing, and it can be simple. It doesn't need to be the most rendered thing ever. And I think that really took the pressure off of like, oh, like this looks so cartoony, or this looks like a kid's painting. I don't know. That's how I feel looking at it. But when I remember that my purpose was just to paint something simple and have fun, I feel like it doesn't make me feel so bad. And I think the same can be also said with practicing other things, right? For example, like I've been wanting to do master studies, but I really have to sit there and think about what the point of the master study is for me. If I'm going to be focusing on learning how to use my paint and how to color mix and stuff, I can't really get hung up on the details of like, oh, this proportion or the perspective or the shapes that I'm sketching with a pencil, because that's, even though it's like all connected, it's like that's too overwhelming for me to focus on improving at once. You know what I mean? So if you want to improve something, like just focus on one thing. If your purpose is to just have fun and do something simple and within your skill level that you just like to draw, then let that be the purpose. It doesn't always have to be something out of this world or something super challenging for you. I've also been feeling like I'm learning a lot more about what's within my skill level. And I think being a beginner and like not really understanding the levels of art, like from the outside, it's kind of hard to understand. But I feel like I see now that like something could be out of my skill level or it could be within my skill level. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it won't be challenging. But I think like when you're a beginner and you see all these amazing artists, or you see art on Pinterest or like an artist that you follow and they're way ahead of you, you kind of wonder how you can just like get to their level right away. Like, how do you just jump there? But you kind of have to go through these stages first before you're able to get to that spot. One thing I realized is that thinking about having documentation of your art progress and like what your art looked like from the beginning, it's kind of cool because I'm like drawing all these subjects that I haven't drawn before. And I'm like, honestly, how am I gonna know what's not in my skill level until I try to draw it, right? Like, if you're sitting there and you can't even draw, say I want to draw a dragon. If I don't even try to draw the dragon, how do I know what it is that I suck at, what it is that I can improve on, and like where my skill level's at if I don't even try because I'm so scared that it's not gonna turn out? I've been really liking doing these 10-minute studies like I mentioned in the last vlog. I got this idea from a channel called Lynn's Creation. This first one, I actually forgot to film the first half of it, so this is going to be only 5 minutes for the second segment, and I did speed it up a little bit. For all of these 10-minute studies, I'm doing oil pastels, which I feel like are a good medium for a 10-minute study because they're really easy to pick up and just lay down some color. You don't have to worry about color mixing or playing with water and wiping and cleaning your brush and stuff like that. I've also been having a lot of fun just getting to know how the oil pastels work. Oil pastels were actually, I think, my first art medium besides pencils and stuff like that. I remember getting into a big oil pastel phase in high school before I really got back into sketchbooking, and even before I got my acrylic paints, I was in a big oil pastel phase, and I really wanted to do like galaxy drawings with oil pastels because I was really into galaxy art. So it's just been a lot of fun to play with my oil pastels. And part of the reason why I love doing these 10-minute studies so much is because I feel like it leaves me with a finished piece at the end, even if it only took 10 minutes and it's pretty, unpolished. Usually in my sketchbook, I feel like I be doing small designs, whether it's in the corner of a page. I just feel like I have a lot of compilations of sketches, which is fine. Obviously there's nothing wrong with that, and not every piece needs to be a finished piece, but I don't have any pages that are taking up, one whole page for the whole piece, or even just implementing like a background. I rarely do that. So I feel like it's been really nice, and it only takes 10 minutes, so I can do multiple of them. After this tunnel drawing that I found on Pinterest, I'm gonna do a couple more references. But yeah, it's been kind of challenging me to only focus on the big colors and the big shapes, and to kind of problem solve because you have to be fast. And actually, when I was making this first piece, I didn't even realize how short 10 minutes was. Like, I was kind of taking my time kind of sketching out the outlines and the silhouettes and where I wanted to lay everything out, and then I kind of like started jumping in, but then I realized I can't be picky about the details because the time was ticking down very fast, and I was like, oh shit, like I have to finish the rest of the piece, so I need to just hurry up and get like the big shapes down. And I think for me personally, doing the entire page was a bit much. Like, it was kind of hard to fill in the whole space and like do enough details, especially with a subject matter like this where it kind of does take up the whole page. But in this next one that you see with the lemons and then the flowers, I feel like half a page was like the perfect size because it was big enough to where it took up a lot of space and I could add detail, but at the same time it wasn't like so big to where I couldn't add detail to specific areas because I had to focus on filling up the rest of the page with color. I especially love this lemon piece, and I don't feel like I did a good job on the leaves. I was just kind of going in, but I think it's kind of hard to understand the colors, especially with like a limited color palette on the oil pastels. I just did the best that I could, and I feel like it looks kind of messy and doesn't really make sense. But I feel like the lemons look good. I really love the way that the background turned out, and like I said, I feel like adding the background makes it feel like a finished piece. Something else I wanted to mention too is that I'm going to Korea the second week of June, which I'm really excited for, and I probably won't publish a vlog next month because I will be spending half of it traveling and I just won't have time to edit the video or anything. But I do want to do a short mini Korea vlog. I have some stores that I'm planning on going to. Like, I have a stationery store called Point of View that's really popular and it's very like curated, so I'm pretty excited for that. I have one art store that I want to go to called Homey. If I find more, then I'm definitely open to going to those, but we're only going for a week, so I I feel like I don't have that much time to go shopping. I'm not planning on buying anything specific in terms of art supplies. I think I'm going to keep my eye out for, you know, exclusive or limited edition stuff, not necessarily things that I could just buy here. I think it's fun to buy really unique products that you haven't seen, you know, like in the US. I think mostly I'm looking for sketchbooks and maybe like a mini, you know, pastel set or coloring set or whatever I can find that's not going to be too heavy or too expensive. I've got a couple makeup stores I want to go to, and I'm also going to be trying to do a lot of travel sketching as well. I'm also going to bring my mini sketchbook, which I've used on past trips. I used it to my Japan trip as well as my Philippines trip the last couple years, and it's not full yet, so I think it'd be really cool to combine that. I'm really excited to share some of the sketches that I do while I'm there. I also have a lot of vlog footage this month that I wasn't happy with, so I didn't really include it, and like I said, I haven't really been vlogging that much, but I also feel like everything is really disorganized for me. I'm actually trying to get this video out really quick before I leave for my Korea trip, and I've been so busy that I haven't really had time to sit down and edit it, but I guess I just wanted to share how I feel because maybe some of you can relate. It's kind of hard. You have like ups and downs. Like the past 2 months I felt pretty good about it, and then this month I don't feel so great. I also don't want to scrap it and have nothing, and I'm trying to combat my perfectionism as much as I can, but I also want to do better and feel confident about my footage and what I'm saying. I recorded 3 YouTube videos in one day, and I was feeling really good about the footage, but then I looked back on it and I feel like my thoughts were just very disorganized and the plot was kind of hard to follow, and the quality of the video wasn't great, and my eyelash was coming off. So I kind of feel like I just want to scrap those videos and remake them in a better way. And I'm not quite sure if that's the right move or not, you know, like if I did redo them, I think I would have a way clearer idea of what I wanted because I kind of already have the rough draft. On the other hand, is that just me trying to make things as polished as I can?